Oh, wow.
And like it was like in that area. It was like right. It was like
Wow.
let's say you go this way to the coast,
Right.
like this way to where
Right.
the bomb was.
Yeah. And you were there at that time?
Yeah, exactly that time.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, I could have been anywhere else, and like something could have happened to me. Like I'm like living my day, going around.
Yeah, they were also living their day.
I know.
Yeah.
Saying, like I was so like that was
Yeah.
me. I'm 100% okay.
Ziva, what time are you running?
So, okay.
Like
All right. I had a whole different class planned for this morning, but being that on my way here, I left my house at 8:30 in the morning to go to Shmuel Navi and Davin, and then come here. And Shmuel Navi is in remote. And when I saw that they closed the highway, I was like, oh, so I guess I'm not gonna go to Shmuel Navi. I'll just go to a cemetery here in Givat Shaul where Rav Kaduri is buried. And I get to Givat Shaul and it's also blocked and it's also closed. And then my finger touched the Instagram by accident, and then Jewish Breaking News opened up, and I saw why all these things are happening in remote and in Givat Shaul, why it's closed. So, okay, I'm always like at a loss when these things happen, because it's on one hand it's like how am I supposed to react? Because in a certain way we're just so used to it. We're used to it. Maybe not this way that they use bombs and explosives, okay? And maybe we're not like now that it's like so here and we're so familiar with that bus stop and where it happened and it's like right here, that it just feels like, we could just move on with our day. And I spoke to a rabbi before I came in to teach this morning, and asked him he's like. You just have to pray and move on with your life, And I disagree. I highly, highly disagree with that. I think that the louder Hashem has to be, the worse off it is for us. And I think that when another Jewish person suffers, the easiest thing in the world is to close our heart and to say, I don't know them, and it wasn't me, and I'm 100% fine, so I'm just going to move on. I think that being that the fact that the Jewish people are connected with this like imaginary string, okay, we're all arevim zeh bezeh, we're all connected, and we're all related, and that's why we could be somewhere stuck in China, and we always have that Bet Chabad to go to, or that rabbi, or that connection, or that person that's going to take care of us, just because we're Jewish. And I feel like we can't just use it to be like on the positive. Like we're part of the Jewish people. Wherever you go, you could always land up in a Bet Chabad, or you could always call on your Yedidim Gemach, or your clothing Gemach, or your whatever Gemach to help you, because we're a Jewish community worldwide, and that's how we are. I feel like that feeling of connection to the Jewish people, whether we feel it or not feel it, but it is very, very, very different than what the rest of the world has. We understand that, right? Put away your phone, please. We understand that, right? We understand that what we have as the Jewish people is very, very different. And it's funny, like my third time saying this in class today, in class here, that's exactly what Kanye West was saying. He was saying, I am jealous of the Jewish people turning off their phone on Friday nights and having family dinner together. I am jealous of the Jewish people scratching each other's back and caring about each other. I am jealous that when a Jewish man goes to prison like Rubashkin, right, that when he comes out, the whole world is celebrating in the streets for a man they never met. I am jealous of the fact that if a little girl gets lost, a Jewish girl gets lost in the woods, that you'll have tons of people just leaving whatever they're doing and going to look for her like she's their own daughter. I am jealous of the Jewish people having that kind of connection and that kind of unity. I am jealous of that for my people. I want that for my black sisters and brothers. And that's what he was saying there when he was saying of his whole anti-Semitic rant. That in essence, I think he's just a little confused. I don't think he's really anti-Semitic like Sonei Yisrael are. I think that he just sees a lot of contradicting things within the Jewish people. Now, I want to clear up some things today, and we're going to base it on Tomer Devorah, and we're dedicating our class of learning Tomer Devorah today to the complete refuah shalem of everyone that was injured, all 18 Jews that were injured this morning in the terrorist bombings in Jerusalem today. A lot of them are in critical condition right now, fighting for their life in the hospitals. So we're learning today, and your presence, and you being here, and you being absorbing as much as you can, and you not distracting yourself with any other distraction that the Yetzer Hara wants you to distract yourself with, is your contribution to them, is your contribution to their well-being. The thing is we have to remember one thing, okay? That as long as we close our hearts to the pain of another person, our hearts will also be closed to the happiness and the joys of another person. When my heart is closed to the joys and to celebrating another person's life or another person's accomplishments, if I can't honestly be happy for another person, for their joys, right? That means that the unity is really, really, really lacking. Because if a person understands that your joy is my joy, your accomplishment, you getting married is supposed to impact me in the same way as I'm getting married, literally to that place, and that's what we're learning in Tomer Devorah. The connection, ravus between us, that is going to determine the well-being of the Jewish people. That's going to determine how well we're going to do. Now we have to understand that the entire world, all eyes on us, especially now in light of all the anti-Semitism that's going on in the world. We have to know one thing and one thing only. Within us, within the Jewish people, there is a very large group of people, okay, that are Sonei Yisrael themselves, self-hating Jews. And they're creating a really, really, really bad name for a lot of us, for the rest of the Jewish people. They're creating a really bad name. The head of BDS is Jewish. The head of all these very, very left-wing anti-Semitic rants and work that they're doing out there in the diaspora are Jewish. A lot of the people that Kanye West are talking about, the evil people that he's talking about that are doing evil things in Hollywood, are Jewish. And it says to us, it's very clearly stated in the Torah that when the Jewish people came out of Mitzrayim, who came with them? Erev Rav came with them. They stuck to us like glue. And they made, wherever we went, they made a bad name for us as the Jewish people, and they themselves considered themselves Jews. So for the rest of us who are not Erev Rav, for the rest of us who are not trying to, cheat and rape and destroy other people for their money or for their property or for our names or for our kavod or for whatever it is, for the rest of us Jews that are good people, that are trying to do God's work in this world, we have to remember one thing. That when Hashem talks to us today, there are no more Nevi'im. There are no more prophets, and there are no more prophecies. It says in the Torah that when how does Hashem talk to the Jewish people today? He talks to them through what? Through? How does God talk to us today?
Nature.
Through? No, how does He talk to us? Now we talk to Him.
He doesn't. He does?
Hashem talks to us through the...
Miracles.
Through? Good. What else?
Our hearts.
The way the world runs.
Good. What does that mean? 1 second. What does that mean? What?
Everything that goes on.
Beautiful. Hashem speaks to us today through the occurrences that happen in the world. And now who is He talking to? So, I don't know the exact numbers, but let's use basic numbers. I would say 90+% of the Jewish people in the world either don't know that they're Jewish, know that they're Jewish and don't practice Judaism, know that they're Jewish and don't care that they're Jewish, know that they're Jewish and are assimilated. There are Jews in the world that know that they're Jewish, that they're practicing either whatever kind of Judaism they're practicing, whether they're whatever they're doing. That's very much not in line with Ratzon Hashem, which is not what Hashem intended it to be. Halacha, Torah. So from all the Jews in the world, there's a small percentage of Jews that have the ears to listen and have the heart to hear what Hashem is trying to communicate to us in the world. He's not talking to the evildoers in Hollywood. He's not talking to the Erev Rav in the banks. He's not talking to all these Jewish people that could care less that they're Jewish or it means nothing to them or are using it to gain more self, whatever, fill in the blank. He's not talking to them because they don't have the ears to hear or the heart to listen. Who is Hashem talking to? If Hashem talks to us today, not through Nevi'im, not through prophets, but Hashem talks to us today through the occurrences that happen in the world, through the experiences. There's a tsunami in Thailand, that's for the Jewish people. There's a hurricane in Florida, that's for the Jewish people. Hashem, it says it very, very clearly in Chazal, Hashem does nothing for the Umos HaOlam so much. It's all for us. Why? Because it's the Jewish people that are in the driver's seat of the world, that we are the ones that are going to determine, okay, where the world is going on a level of girls, if you want to talk, step outside. I have no problem with you not being here. Just don't talk right now. For the rest of the ones that are listening. Really, if you want to talk, step outside. Just go outside. I'm good. Take your phones and go out. But just don't sit in front of my face with your phones and talking to other people. It's just really, really not respectful. Okay? Not respectful for you and not respectful for the person that's sitting next to you. Okay. Hold on 1 second, please. Let me just put this on thing. 1 sec. Hang on. How do I do this again? Oh, yeah. Okay. So back to our noseh. So since Hashem is not talking to them, He's not talking to all these people in the world, these evil people in the world that are doing bad. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Okay. And He's not talking to all the irreligious people that don't have the ears to hear that Hashem is even doing this, that they look at a terrorist bombing like this morning and say, where was Hashem? Where is He? Where is He? Or how could He do this? Or you see, because of the Holocaust, it proves that there was no God in the world. And if there is a God, He's evil. People that don't know what they're looking at. People that don't have the knowledge, the understanding to know what they're looking at. And they look at it and say, this is wrong, this is bad. Just like I remember when I was, I was already religious for a bunch of years, but I was doing Tisha B'Av at home for the first time ever. And I did Sudas Hamafsekes, and my family also did Sudas Hamafsekes. I don't know if they fast on Tisha B'Av. And then at a certain point, I sat on the floor, right? And I took my paper and I burnt it, and I took my egg and my pita, and I did the whole ash thing. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah, some of you, who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Who doesn't know? Okay, so when we're about to walk into Tisha B'Av, which is the day that we commemorate the two temples that we had, the two Beis Hamikdashes that we had that were destroyed, then we take a little ash, it's a symbolic of the time. We sit on the floor because we sit on the floor on Tisha B'Av until Chatzos, and then we put a little ash with the egg and the bread it's very symbolic. We'll talk about it as we get closer. If we get closer, we won't because you're in America. Then maybe we'll see. But there's a lot on it online, and you can read about it. And I remember I was sitting there, and my family was looking at me. They were all looking at me sitting on the floor eating ash, and they were just like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And no matter how much I tried to make sense of it, it was just beyond strange for them. It was just so strange to them. Like, why are you afflicting yourself so much? Like, relax. You know, it happened 2,000 years ago. It's just like a fast day or whatever it is. A person can translate whatever they're looking at with the lenses that they have, with the knowledge that they have in their brain. You can only understand what you're looking at based on what you know. A doctor, when you give him a scan or an ultrasound and he knows how to read it, he's looking at something else than you are. He sees other things than what you see. He knows exactly, you see like mush with lines and maybe something that looks like a hand, right? And he sees the whole picture. Why? Because he knows that he has the knowledge to be able to now see the picture clearly. So when Hashem does these things in the world, who is He talking to? Who is He communicating with? The people that what? The people that have the ears and have the mind and have the eyes and have the knowledge to understand what they're looking at. To understand what they're looking at. So this morning, okay, and I think that we definitely can't move on with our day without stopping and acknowledging what is going on around us here, right here, 10 minutes away. What's going on around us is that there are people that were waiting by the bus stop to go to work this morning, and then now they're fighting for their life in Hadassah. For the rest of us out here that it didn't happen to, that an explosive didn't cross their path this morning, it can't just be, the response can't just be, whew, thank God I wasn't there. Or thank God no one I know was there. Doesn't matter if I know them or don't know them. They're my sisters and brothers. They're my sisters and brothers. And if I can't open my heart or give them a minute, silence for a minute, and go and put myself in their shoes for a second, and go and feel the pain that they're feeling, the pain of Klal Yisrael that we're feeling. If I can't feel that, and I'm doing it on purpose in order not to feel that, I'm missing something. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying right now. Because in order for us to feel, remember what we said last week, our feelings always go after our mind. Our thoughts create our feelings. Your thoughts create your energy. Your thoughts create your emotional well-being. Your thoughts create your emotions. I can't look at current events and say, well, at least it didn't happen to me or my mom or my bestie, and then drink my iced coffee and move on with my life. I can't. Because the only ears that people have today are the ears of the people that are sitting in Jerusalem, that are sitting wherever they are in the world and learning Hashem's Torah and learning Hashem's word like you are and spending thousands and thousands of dollars to do it and changing your lives and making better decisions in your life in order to align yourself with Ratzon Hashem. So if he's not talking to us, then who is he talking to? The thieves in Hollywood? Who is he talking to? The guys in BDS? Who is he talking to? The ones that are self-hating Jews that are out there all day long, 24/7, around the clock, trying to defame the name of the nation of Israel? Who is he talking to, if not us? The ones that day in, day out, find our Tahara, come to class, try to daven, try to do the right thing, try not to talk Lashon Hara, try to keep Shabbos, try to do the right thing. Who is he talking to, if not us? Who? The billions of people in this world that don't hear him? So my job as someone that is heavily in the driver's seat. Why are the Jewish people in the driver's seat? Because Hashem picked us up from all the other nations and said, you are the one that's going to be responsible for the morality of this world, for the kindness in this world. You're the one that's going to be responsible for that. You're the big brother. You have to take care of everybody. There's a natural disaster somewhere in the world. The Jewish people have to be the first one there. Israel has to be the first one on the scene to help. Why? Because that's what we're here to do. We're here to be the Or LaGoyim. We're here to be a light unto the nations. That's why Hashem gave us the brains that He gave us, not for us to use it in order to get more money in the world, or live more lavishly. Hashem gave us the mind, the brains. He gave it to the Jewish people in order to create all the technology and all the medicine and all the things that the Jewish people are in charge of and to create in the world. Why? Because we are here to create peace and love and harmony and goodness in this world. That is our only job. And when we lose sight of our job in this world, when we lose sight of what we're supposed to do, and we take all of that to serve us, we take all of the smarts and all the riches, or all the whatever we have, whatever God gave us, the Jewish people with the book, with the nation of the book, the ones with the mind, the ones with the brains, the ones that are behind everything in the world, the banks and theater and Hollywood and technology and medicine. We're the ones behind all of it. The ones that create all of it. Now, they just read this morning that now because of all the heart attacks that are happening because of the vaccination, I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it out straight up. Okay, there's a ton of heart attacks that are happening. People are falling left and right. All these young people are dying. Last week, 5 kids died here in Israel just sitting in class and had a heart attack. Everyone's having heart attacks. Okay? It was, they had to vaccinate everyone very quickly. They didn't know for sure if it was going to be amazing. So we have some casualties. Thousands of them. Thousands of young people are dying. Thousands. So now what they're doing now, what Israel came up with, and this is what I read, and now you'll notice a ton of defibrillators all around. Besides for that, okay, now what they're doing is that they created a sensor that is able to help the person based on how they speak, know a few minutes ahead of time if they're about to have a heart attack. That's what they came out today with the new technology today. Before the body has the heart attack, a person can have a sensor flashing to him minutes before, so that way he could save his life. 100% save his life. You create the problem and then you fix it, but whatever. You try to fix it.
How do you save yourself?
The point is that we are the ones that were given all these tools in order to be able to spread light in this world. V'item or lagoim. Spread light in the world. Light means in morality, in what's right, and how to be and how to act, and how it's supposed to look. How it's supposed to look. And you know what? I want to tell you something. Tomer Devorah is making it so clear to me that this is what it's supposed to look like, and no more with this but everyone is toxic, and I need to protect myself and all of that. No more of that. Why? Because stay away from toxic people, but you know what I want to tell everyone in the world? I want to tell everyone in the world that the more we think everyone is toxic, the more toxic our relationships are going to be. The more one person says something that's a little bit whatever, or they have a little trauma, or they have something, and automatically there's 17 labels on this person. because there's so many labels today with all the emotional stuff that's going on, aside from the fact that everyone's a narcissist and everyone has whatever, okay? What happens when we label everyone is that we separate ourselves from everyone. I'm not like her. She's I don't know, borderline. Or I'm not like her. She's I don't know, she has some kind of, she's on the spectrum. And she's like this. We separate ourselves from everyone. So what I want to refer to right now is our second chapter. We're going to finish up our first chapter right now. Last week we were talking about Mikal Kamocha, the whole concept of Mikal Kamocha. Hashem is so sweet. He's so kind. That what does he do? And that what we're supposed to learn from him? Again, remember this concept of V'alachta b'drachav. Our whole point in life is to walk in Hashem's footsteps, meaning to become more godly, meaning to access the godly part of ourselves. We have a godly part of ourselves, and then we have a be'emah part of ourselves. We have a physical, very animalistic soul, and we have a godly soul. And when are we happy? When are we alive? When are we passionate? When do we feel energy? When we are connected to that part of our soul, when we're connected to ourselves, to the godliness inside of us. So the whole Tomer Devorah is telling us, act like Hashem. The first chapter of Mikal Kamocha is telling us, Hashem says basically, what does he do? What does Hashem do in Mikal Kamocha? That a person harms me, offends me, does something bad to me, spoke Lashon Hara behind my back, spread rumors about me, okay, does something that's really, really hurts my ego, like beyond. Okay, and what am I supposed to do in order to be like Hashem? The Tomer Devorah tells us, don't stop giving them what you're already giving to them. If what you're the only thing you're giving to them is a smile in the morning, so continue giving them a smile in the morning. Don't turn sour on them. But how? But where? But what? Move on to the next chapter. Chapter 2. Chapter 2, Nose Avon.
I feel like I really need to do that today.
What's Nose Avon? Listen to Nose Avon. What's Hashem's second midah of Nose Avon? And this is what? Nose Avon. Maase Avos Simul Madim. Close.
A pesha.
Nose Avon is Nun Samach Aleph Ayin Vav Nun. Nose Avon, listen to this midah. What are you guys looking at? A spider. Oh, it's okay. It's all right. You guys are good.
Is that a Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah?
Hold on.
Alright, Tomer Devorah.
Yes. Nose Avon, listen to what Nose Avon is. Nose Avon, again, we're doing this in Refuah Shalema, the people that were affected in this morning's terrorist attack. Nose Avon is like this. He bears the sin. He bears the sin, which means I'm taking Tomer Devorah and I'm simplifying it for you so much because it's one of the harder Sfarim to learn. It's one of the hardest Sfarim to learn.
What is bearing the sin? Okay.
Really? You want me to do it?
Oh, it's going up in spider web.
Wait. Don't kill him. 1 second. Hold on.
Kill it. Let it be.
Yay.
Don't kill him.
What does bearing the sin mean? It's dead.
Okay. All right. Okay. Bear sin. Listen, girls, we started late and we don't have so much time, and I really want to get to the second chapter. The second chapter, he says he bears sin. He bears sin means like this. When a person does an avera, okay, when a person does something wrong, okay, somebody really hurt your feelings, okay, somebody really hurt you. Person does something really wrong. Well, I have this, hold on 1 second, please hold on. Okay. When a person does an avera, what happens is that we learned last week that there's an energy that comes out from them. When a person does a mitzvah, when a person does something good, when a person smiles at somebody else, when a person is kind to somebody else, there's an energy that happens to them. It happens to them. You give birth to an energy. When you would decide right now, you walk by someone and you see that there are pens on the floor, there's sweaters on the floor, and you pick it up. You don't have to pick it up. No one's forcing you to pick it up. It's not yours. You don't have to care. But you care. You care because you decide that other people's belongings, you're going to treat them like they're yours. And you pick up the sweater and you put it on the chair. By the fact that you did that action, you have created an energy. You've created an energy, a body of energy. And you have to know that is exactly, we keep saying this because it's really crucial for everyone to understand, that there's an energy to every thought and every action. There's an energy to it. And this energy is, if we had X-ray division, we would be able to see energies. Very clear. If you become aware of it, you can start feeling people's energy. People have an energy. A person that thinks negatively about themselves a lot and you're around them, you can literally feel when you're around them. What?
I said 100%.
Yes. When you can literally feel around them a harsh energy, and you can feel, if you become aware of these things, you can feel how much they knock themselves in their head, how much they hate themselves, how much they're bitter. Why? Because every act, every thought contributes to this pool of your vibe. You have a vibe. Every person has a vibe. Every person has a vibration. Days that you're sad, days that you're not happy, everyone feels you. You notice people staying away from you more. Or if you're a person that's sad and is inclusive, there's sad and non-inclusive and sad and inclusive. And sometimes, girls, whoever is talking here, just leave. I love you. Just stop. It's really distracting me. And whoever's sad and inclusive, so they feel the energy of people like gathering around them and loving them and being there for them and like what's wrong and whatever. Sad and non-inclusive is sad, I feel sad, or I feel whatever hard energy I feel, and I go inward, and then what happens outside of me, people just like stay away from me. People don't come near me. People feel my energy and they just take a step back. Why? Because of all the stuff that I'm feeling inside, it's felt. I have like a ring of energy around me all the time. What we're learning in Tomer Devorah is that every single time you do God's midah, every single time you act like Hashem, and it's really, really hard because somebody offends you, and the first midah, somebody offends me, and my natural human instinct is to now either take revenge or get them back or make faces or not talk to them or give them a cold shoulder or whatever it is. That's the human instinct. And now Tomer Devorah is saying, no, don't do that. Don't do the human instinct. Don't go and now give them the cold shoulder. Don't look them in the eye. Don't talk to them. Avoid them. Not like them. Spread gossip against them or take revenge. Don't do that. What you should do now is continue to walk in and say good morning, continue to smile. If they ask you for a shekel, lend them the shekel. Continue, and as if they did not hurt you. Okay, that's level 1. Level 2, we're climbing rungs. Level 2 is every energy that a person creates with their actions, whether it's good or bad, creates, if you want to call it an angel, a body of energy. That's what an angel is. It's a body of energy. Creates a body of, it gives birth to something. When a person does Averos, they give birth, and this is probably Kabbalah that I don't know if you've learned this or not have learned this, but this is very Kabbalistic, gives birth to a dark energy, a dark force. When a person does something dark, when they sit and they gossip about someone, or they steal from someone, or hurt from someone, they what?
It's just a bad angel, no?
A bad angel means a dark energy. A dark energy. Okay? A dark energy. What are dinim in the world? Dinim, judgments. What are they in essence? This is probably something new to you. Dark energies. They're dark energies that, imagine a cup. So there's dark energy from people's actions that they do dark things. And it gets to a certain point, and just like, the electricity, when it gets too hot, too many things you're using in the kitchen, the urn and the thing and everything at once, and what happens? Power goes out. What?
Only in Israel.
Yeah, power outage, right? Because there's too much lachatz on the electricity, so it goes out. It has to pop in order for everything to fall, in order for you to stop using so much electricity. It's exactly what happens when we see din in the world. When we see judgment in the world, like our brothers and sisters being attacked in the streets here, right here next to us, when we see that, that's not mercy, that's din. It has a level of mercy in it, because everything has mercy in it, but that's judgment. Which means that what happens when there's a big judgment in the world, like a bombing, like a terrorist attack, it gets rid of a ton of bad angels. It gets rid of a ton. It's almost like the payment for a lot of the dark entities, the energies that are created with people's actions in the world. Now listen to this. What happens over here by Nosei Avon? It says like this. Hashem says, a person sins, where does that energy go? Who sustains that energy now? That energy needs to be sustained. Just because we don't see it in the physical realm doesn't mean that it's not here. It doesn't mean that it's not here. And I have so many stories. I'll tell you the story, and with this we're going to end. I'm telling you this crazy, crazy story. You don't want to leave for this story. You have to go? Okay. It's a crazy story that happened, and we're going to continue with this next week. But it's a crazy story that happened in Florida to my friend, Rabbi Lasri, in his shul in Florida. He has a shul. I was there. He showed me the shul. He showed me he got new cameras. He put 4 cameras in the corners of his base medrash. And that's it. One day, after the day was over, his son was looking at his phone. And he has an app on his phone with the cameras. Like once he goes into the app, he sees the cameras in the shul. He sees the shul. Okay, he has access to the cameras in the shul through this app. And his son is going through all the day, like the whole day, from the morning, every hour on the camera. He's going through the whole day, and all of a sudden he sees, at a certain point, I could show you the video afterwards. He sees there's like this thing that looks like a cloud that's in the base medrash. It's night already. There's nobody there. Moving like this around a specific chair in the base medrash. This cloud. It looks like a cloud. You'll see it. It looks like a cloud. And he showed his father. He's like, Abba, what is this? And his father's like, I don't know. Maybe there's a glitch on the camera. It's like he just put in a whole new system. Maybe it's from the cameras. He went to check the cameras. Nothing. There was nothing on the camera. He thought there was like a string hanging over the side, maybe making it look like there was something. Nothing. The cameras were in perfect condition. So then he said to himself, okay, maybe there's somebody in my congregation, maybe there's someone in the kihila that doesn't have, that has someone that passed away maybe. Maybe someone passed away and they didn't do a yahrzeit. So he left a message on his WhatsApp group for all the people that are in his congregation.
How is it that he saw a cloud and he's like, it's because he didn't do a yahrzeit?
He's a rabbi.
But like, how did he, there's just a random thing to choose. How did he figure that out?
Because he's a rabbi. So that's where our minds go when you are involved in spirituality.
Maybe it's not like, maybe his mezuzah is broken, maybe this, that, like, how did
So listen to the story. So he asks on the chat, is there anyone's yahrzeit that we missed? Is there anyone's yahrzeit that passed away, a family member, something? And 10 minutes later, somebody gets back to him. She says to him, hi, Rabbi, I am here. I have this woman staying by me. She came in for the weekend from New York, and she's like a mediator. You know what a mediator is? A mediator, people that have, they're very, very, very sensitive to energies, and they actually feel souls, and they see souls, and they have that whole thing. There are many people like them in the world, lots of mediators in the world. So, but you have to go to the real ones that are not playing with fire. But anyway, you really shouldn't go to any of them, basically. No one. She's an anonymous one. She doesn't want anyone to know about it. But she basically said to this woman that's on the phone with Rabbi Lasri, she's telling him, I have this girl staying by me from New York, and she said that she needs to go down to your shul. She needs to go down to your shul. And he said, okay, you can go down to the shul. I'm not going in there. And so the 2 ladies go down to the shul at night. They walk in. The rabbi's waiting outside the door. He lets them in. He doesn't want to go in. He lets them in, and he's telling me the story firsthand. Okay, before it went viral and before it went on the news and before whatever, he's telling me the story on the phone. He said, Devorah, she walks into the shul, and she literally sits there and she starts talking to the air. Really? Wow. Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. I can't believe it. Wow. And he's like, we're looking at her, like, is this legit? Is this for real? There's no one there. Without the camera, there's nothing. Like with his own eyes, you can't see anything in the shul. Everything looks normal. Everything looks like this, regular. She turns around to the rabbi and she tells the rabbi the following. She said, there's a man here. He's around 40 years old. He has a very raspy voice. I hear his voice. She says to him, he's telling me right now that he passed away during Corona. Before he passed away, he was doing this very big business deal with 2 other people and himself. They were 3 people. Everyone brought money to this business deal. He brought money and the other 2 people brought money. The business deal he passed away from Corona, and the business deal went south, and the money ended up with one of the guys, one of the partners. The money that he put in, it ended up there, and he passed away. He said, one of the partners has been coming to this shul every single day and davening. Every single day. And as long as he comes to shul and davens, I'm feeling good. I'm good. Meaning there's a connection between these two people because he has his money. When you leave money in this world, or when you give money for a neshama, or anything that you do with money, okay, in this world that is for a neshama, for a person, it really, really impacts the neshama. Not only money, but you buy things, you pay someone to learn, you pay someone to do kaddish, anything that you do, or you can do it yourself, right? It really, really impacts the neshama. So he left a ton of money, about $200,000 with this person, and this person has been coming to shul, going from shul, coming to shul, donating to the shul, davening in the shul every single day, and it's impacting the soul up there in Shemayim. Okay? He says to her, over the last week, he hasn't been to shul, and I feel a lot of tsar. So I came here. He says to her, and she turns around to my friend, turns around to Rabbi Lasri, and she says to him, is this person that sits here, in this chair, is he here now? And he said, no, he hasn't been here for like a week or something. He's not been here. And so she starts telling him the whole story. There was a business deal and the money was stayed with him. And basically this guy's not coming to the shul now and not donating his time, his money. He's not, and it's impacting his friend who's totally, totally secular and needs his mitzvahs like air in the next world. Needs his mitzvahs like food in the next world. He's not coming. The guy's going crazy. And you have to understand something, such a crazy, thing to be able to, first of all, have the cameras catch this on camera because he had a big schus. This neshama had a very big schus to be able to, yes, communicate with the living. Because if the cameras wouldn't have caught it, no one would have seen it. They wouldn't have known that he's there. How many times did these things happen in the world and no one sees it and no one knows that it's happening? Because so the rabbi calls the guy and he says to him, hi, where you been? And he says, I haven't been around. I couldn't come. I got busy. I this and that. He said, listen, do you know so-and-so? And he said, yeah. And he's your, yeah, he was my friend. We did a thing together and then he passed away from Corona last year. And he said, well, he's here for you. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he told him the whole story. And then I could show you the video. And you see the rabbi doing, he was doing lighting a candle because basically she told him, now you have to light a candle for 3 days and the neshama is going to go. And after 3 days, the neshama went and they couldn't see it on the video anymore. But for 3 days, they saw it there on the camera. And the guy came back to shul and they lit a thing and they did kaddish and the neshama went back and is in a restful situation right now. The next day, they're in the shul in Florida. It was like a Sunday morning. This rabbi from New York walks in. Very held up rabbi. And she's sitting there, this mediator. She's sitting there with her friend and Rabbi Lasri, and they're talking. And the rabbi walks in and he hears what's going on. He hears the whole conversation within the soul that came down, and she spoke to the soul, and the soul this, and the soul that. And he's like, I don't know if I believe you people. And he's like, I don't really believe you. He tells her. And she looks at him and she says to him, you don't believe me? And he says, no, I don't believe you. And he had a coffee in his hand. So he has a coffee in his hand. He says, no, I don't believe you. And she says to him, I want to tell you something right now. On your forehead, I can see something really not amazing. Can I say it? You want me to say it? And he said, of course, tell me what. What is it? Whatever you want, tell me. I want to know. Whatever you see, tell me. So she says to him, I see that you have throat cancer. And in that moment, he dropped his coffee. And he looked at her. And he said, I'm in Florida for treatment. How did you know that?
How do you get cancer in your throat?
And he said to her, one second, and she said to him, not only do I see that you have throat cancer, but I see why you have throat cancer. And he says to her, why do I have this? And she says to him, you have a whole congregation. You teach a lot of Torah. You give a lot of eitzos. You do a lot of good. But all of it, everything that you do, is only for your kavod. It's only for your ego. It's only for the people to think that you're amazing. It's only for everyone to run after you, that you're the number one rabbi in town. It's only for your ego. You have zero God in anything that you're doing. And anything that you're putting out into the world, there's zero God in it. It's all ego. It's all me. And when you go home, she says to him, the way you wipe the floor with your wife and the way you talk to your wife, that's why Hashem gave you throat cancer. Stop what you're doing. Stop your teaching. Stop your rabbinic stuff. And do some tshuva. And the man walked out. My friend told me the man walked out like shaking. He was pale. He was shaking. The woman just told him what he has and why he has it. He can't run away from it anymore. So when these things happen, there's things that are going on in other dimensions that we don't see and we don't feel and we can't touch it, but they're happening, and they're happening. So when a person does good, they create an energy in another dimension that affects them, and when a person does bad, they create another energy in a different dimension that affects them. And Hashem says, no se avon, and with this we're going to end, no se avon, which means I'm going to bear the energy of that destructive angel that you created. The energy which means I'm going to sustain it. I'm going to sustain the bad malach that you created, because every energy in the world needs to be sustained. Nothing can just live. Everything needs to get its energy force from somewhere, its life force from somewhere. Everything, a plant, a rock, everything needs to get its life force from someplace. Nothing just lives on its own. It all needs to get its life force from someplace. You get your life force from the water that you drink, and from the sleep that you have, from the food that you eat, and from, of course, Hashem, your neshama. That's your life force. Without it, how do you feel when you're fasting? You start getting weak. You can barely talk, right? Because you get your life force from your food. The angels that are created by our Averos, the life force that's created there, Hashem sustains. Hashem says, come, I'll carry you. Why? Because otherwise that life force, that malach, that angel, that energy, that being would come back to the person that created it, will come back to the person that said the Lashon Hara and now created this dark energy, this dark malach, will come back to him and say, you support me. You give me energy, which means that he would take from the life force of the person, which means that he would kill the person. He would kill the person. The energy that was born from the action of the person would now come back to the person and say, give me life, because you created me. And Hashem says, don't go to the person. I'll give you life. I'll sustain the darkness in the world. I'll sustain the dark forces in the world. All the evil in the world, Hitler and all his pals and all his friends and all the Hitlers that are living today, how are they alive? How are they living? Hashem sustains that darkness in the world, the evil in the world. And when does the evil in the world go away? It goes away when the person actually says, I did the wrong thing. I am sorry. I wish I wouldn't have done that. I really regret doing that. And then that body of energy goes away. So the midah for us to learn from this and to how to mimic Hashem's ways and from this chapter, from this second midah, is, and this is a really, really big thing, another person hurt you, another person did bad to you, another person hurt you so badly or even a little bit, don't respond with ego. Respond with God. Ego is, you hurt me? Me? That's the ego. Huh, she said that about me? Even if it's true. You know you're like that. You know she said, you know you're a mess and everything is all over the place and your room is flying and no one can so she said you're a mess. She said, I'm a mess? How about her? How about her? That's the ego. That's the ego. So what we're learning here is when people hurt you, don't get hurt. The less hurt you can get by people's actions, the more free you are. The less hurt you can get by people's actions, the more free you are. And the faster you are to forgive them in your heart, the freer you are. The freer you are. And there's some evil in the world. And there's evil that's being done to people all the time. But the more we hang on to the evil that was done to us, to the darkness that was done to us, to the pain that was done to us, the more we hang on with hatred and anger and animosity and frustration to those people that hurt us, whether it's from taking a paper clip from us without permission to hurting us and offending us, the more we hold on to that energy, the more we become that energy of darkness and anger and frustration and hurt and sadness, and the more that energy milks our energy. It milks us. It keeps us closed and isolated and not happy and not connected and not real. So let it go. Have a great week, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I have a question. So
Yes.